You live on this Tuesday. All right, let's talk about Uber. The fight to bring ride-sharing companies such as Uber and Lyft to Nevada continues as they wait for approval to operate legally right here in our state.
And here with more on this ongoing issue is attorney Corrine Murphy from the law firm of Patty Scrow, Lewis and Roger. Thank you for being here.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, ladies.
So the news last week was that this thing was getting fast-tracked and that the governor might sign it so that applications could be started. Is that true?
That is absolutely correct. So at this point in time, the Nevada Transportation Authority has taken over, and they're trying to figure out how to implement the law that the state of Nevada has enacted. So I think anyone who's ever had a boss has probably gotten some vague instruction, I want you to do this,
Yes.
and then they've been left to struggle with how to do it. That's where the Nevada Transportation Authority is right now, is that they are putting together a series of administrative rules that will allow them to have these ride-sharing companies operate within the state of Nevada.
Okay, so it's how they're going to do it. Let's talk about one of those ride-sharing opportunities or companies called Uber, which is obviously the most popular, at least in my circle of friends.
Right? Yeah.
But what exactly is it? How does it benefit people out there in the community?
So the concept is that it's different from a traditional taxi where you will walk up to a taxi and you'll hop in. A ride-sharing company will talk more about that what it does is it puts together a person who's looking for a ride with somebody who's willing to offer a ride.
Okay.
So it is different in that they're not technically providing the driver. That being said, the company that's going to be the platform that connects the two people, the driver and the passenger, such as Uber, they still have to have some things in place, background checks, insurance policies, similar to what a cab company would have.
Right.
Is it possible, because the cab companies, the limousine companies are furious, they've been fighting this all along, is it possible that they could take some legal action at this step to block this from going forward?
It would be unlikely. Originally, the courts had essentially shut Uber down, and in response, the legislature said, we want it to go forward. So now that the legislature has spoken, there's not really a lot of room for the courts to step in and prevent it from going forward.
So this is happening. Can we, as the people, step forward and offer some sort of suggestions as to what we want or do not want to the legislator?
Absolutely. It would actually be to the Nevada Transportation Authority. They are holding public hearings in the month of July where they're going to have people from the general citizens come, and they can comment on how they are proposing to enact these administrative rules that will allow these ride-sharing companies to operate in Nevada.
Now, we've talked about this on the show a couple of times so far, and many of us understand the taxi cab and the limousine companies' concerns. I mean, they're talking about safety and then it should be an even playing field. But for those of us who live out in the burbs, I mean, if you're in Anthem, if you're in Centennial Hills like I am, to get a taxi to come out there and leave the resort corridor is very difficult. And then on the other side, they don't want the Uber and Lyft drivers competing with them in the resort corridor.
Right.
So 95% of all cab fares are originated either from McCarran or from the resort corridor. Right. At this point in time, these ride-sharing companies are not going to be able to operate in those two areas. They have to negotiate with McCarran and also the different casinos in order to operate within those areas. So the majority of cabs and limousines business is protected at this point in time, but there are areas in California where these ride-sharing companies have been able to negotiate with airports and resorts so that they can operate there as well.
Yeah, because I know back in California at LAX, there's no way you were going to grab an Uber, but you can grab an Uber anywhere from Pasadena and the surrounding city. So that is interesting.
Well, Corrine, thank you for coming on and kind of clarifying it for us. Yeah, we're waiting to see if it goes ahead. Okay, we're going to be sure to keep an eye on things as they develop. Right now, it's time for